Welcome to the Chicago Fire Season Review for 2022, a statistical driven review and story of Chicago's progress in the MLS, an analysis of their squad, goals and season performance. Thank you for joining us, and please drop a like on the video. It earns the team an extra point towards Chicago's final season total. It could make all the difference. Don't forget to subscribe not to miss any upcoming new content from the channel, and if you prefer to view the data directly, head on to our website www.upthefnducks.com. Details are below in the description. So if we're all here, let's get into it. In the 2021 MLS season, Chicago Fire finished in 12th place in the Eastern Conference, which was their worst season-ending result in their history of competing in MLS since 1998. Overall, they resulted at 22nd place, with it being the fourth season in a row that they finished outside the playoffs. Chicago only won 9 times all season, ending with the second lowest goals scored in both conferences with just 36, and conceding 54 at the other end. With the US Open also cancelled for a second year in a row due to the pandemic, it was a season to forget for the Chicago Fire supporters. Ezra Henderson has been appointed as the new head coach, having spent many years as an assistant at Seattle Sounders, LA Galaxy, and most recently with Columbus Crew. The introduction of Xherdan Shaqiri has got the fans brimming with anticipation in the hope they can close the gap back to the playoff positions. But defensively they will also have to improve to stand a chance of again competing with the top half sides in the Eastern Conference. A huge coup for Chicago and for the MLS was secured with the signature of Switzerland national captain Xherdan Shaqiri. With flexibility across the attacking midfield positions, Shaqiri had only recently been acquired by Olympique Lyon in the summer of 2021 from Liverpool. At only 30, he still offers so much, winning both the Premier League and the Champions League in his time with Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool in recent years. With over 400 appearances in his career, including time at Bayern Munich, Inter Milan and Stoke City, Shaqiri will be expected to be the main star in the Chicago team. His Football Manager ratings highlight his level with a superb first touch and high creativity attributes, most notably in flair, vision and further applied with composure and balance. You can also see his versatility across the front line as a natural at both AM and right wing, while also accomplished on the left-hand side. Slovenian striker Robert Berić made the move from European football to join Chicago Fire in 2019. At the time of recording, since being let go by Chicago at the end of the 2021 MLS season, Berić had not yet signed for another club. In his 2 seasons with Chicago, he returned 20 goals from a total of 56 appearances, with his second season slightly less fruitful in front of goal than his first. With 25 caps for Slovenia, he had a healthy goal record in Europe, so he has multiple options with how he wants to progress his career from here. Football Manager 2022 shows he can play a variety of roles in the striker position and is a threat with his heading, height and jumping reach. He has good well-rounded stats for a complete forward, certainly still capable of doing a job for the right club. Mexican Jairo Torres is set to join Chicago Fire from May 2022 onwards, following a deal with Liga MX side Atlas FC. The young winger has made over 100 appearances for Atlas and in October 2019 received his first international cap for Mexico against Trinidad and Tobago. As a youngster, he made a huge impact for the Mexico Under-17s at the CONCACAF Under-17s Championship. As part of the Mexican youth side's tournament-winning squad, he also walks away with most goals with the Golden Ball. At 21, he won his first domestic honour last season, with Atlas winning the Apertura 2021 Championship in Liga MX. Football Manager 2022 shows the Mexican as a pacey winger with good balance and agility, with a preference to attack. At just 21, he still has plenty of potential and can capably play on the left as well as the right side. His technical attributes are decent, but his mental stats need some improvement. In real life, however, he will arrive with plenty of hope and excitement for the Chicago fans. Chicago Fire took the decision not to take up a contract option on Francisco Calvo, which allowed him to leave on a free in the off-season, joining San Jose Earthquakes. The centre-back had made 46 appearances since his move from Minnesota United in 2019 and carried a goal threat, particularly with his head from set pieces, as he scored 4 times for Chicago. A Costa Rican international with 70 caps, Calvo was also named in the MLS All-Star game for 2018 and at 29 would expect to start for San Jose in the upcoming MLS season. On Football Manager 2022, his standout attributes for a central defender were his heading at 15 and bravery at 15 as well. Mentally, he has extremely high determination at 19 and clearly a fan of getting into the opposition box at set pieces, highlighted by his gets forward whenever possible trait. The The season began for Chicago in February and March with 4 MLS ties, beginning away at Inter Miami, at home to Orlando, away at DC United, and finishing up at home to Sporting Kansas City. Opening day for Chicago Fire saw them travel to Miami to take on Phil Neville's fellow Eastern Conference outfit Inter Miami. In a relatively defensive game, both sides had the woodwork deny them from breaking the deadlock. Miami hit the crossbar with a Leonardo Campagna header, while Stanislav Ivanov seemed destined to open the scoring, instead hitting the post. The Chicago goalkeeper was named as a sub in the Audi Team of the Week for his goalkeeping efforts. Slonina's 4 saves, which included one with minutes left from João Mota, ensured that Chicago travelled home with a clean sheet and a point in the bag. After 180 minutes of MLS football, Chicago Fire fans were still waiting to see a goal scored at either end of the pitch. Orlando did hit the back of the net after 73 minutes with a deflected shot, but a video review reversed the goal for a handball in the build-up. It resulted in the Chicago backline keeping yet another clean sheet in front of Gabriel Slonina. The 17-year-old goalkeeper had broken into the first team for Chicago late last term, recording 4 clean sheets from 11 matches. With 2 out of 2 shutouts already for the Fire, Slonina will be attracting interest already in his future. A third consecutive clean sheet was matched with Chicago Fire's first goals and win of the MLS season away at DC United. Gabriel Slonina was certainly not short of action, however, making 4 stops overall, the first of which a reactionary save from a point-blank header by Ola Kamara. Chicago took the lead shortly after the half-hour mark, as Stanislav Ivanov benefited from a deflected Xherdan Shaqiri pass, after the Fire moved the ball quickly from left to right. Ivanov poked over the on-rushing goalkeeper for the first goal of Chicago's season. The game was sealed 10 minutes from the end as a flick header by Gaston Jimenez from a Boris Sekulic cross on the right landed perfectly for a controlled left-footed half volley from Jonathan Bornstein. Chicago Fire enjoyed a 3-1 success against Sporting Kansas City on matchday 4, with all 3 goals coming from their new signings. Kakwa Zabilko bagged himself a brace with the opening and closing goals of the match, his first on 30 minutes, shot straight at goalkeeper Tim Melia, who allowed it to slip through his fingers. Xherdan Shaqiri scored his first goal for the Fire from the penalty spot on 50 minutes, but 6 minutes later, Kansas replied through Roger Espinoza. For Zabilko's second goal, Chicago won the ball in numbers as Kansas chased an equaliser. The away side were then undone by a slip ball across the box from Brian Gutierrez to the Polish striker to coolly finish from close range, to see Chicago with 2 wins and 2 draws in their opening 4 matches. At the end of March, an unbeaten start for Chicago saw them 3rd in the Eastern Conference, just 2 points behind pace-setters Philadelphia Union. At the bottom of the table, Montreal and Inter Miami were holding up the pack. Across in the Western Conference, LAFC and Real Salt Lake were both on 10 points, with San Jose and Vancouver propping up that conference. Every year, Goal.com releases their NXGN list of the most promising young players, or Wonder Kids as the most popular term. In 2022, the list was released of the top 50 players born on or after January 1st, 2003. Chicago goalkeeper Gabriel Slonina featured 46th in this year's edition, having made an impressive start to his career both at the back end of last season and at the start of this one. At just 17, Slonina is attracting some attention from Europe's footballing big boys, with rumours of Real Madrid interest for the summer transfer window. His progression is certainly one to keep an eye on, with Chicago fans hoping he remains with the Fire, for now at least. 5 matches were on the menu for Chicago in April, 4 MLS ties and a US Open Cup match against Union Omaha in round 3. With their 3rd 0-0 draw of the campaign, Chicago Fire remained one of 3 unbeaten sides left in MLS after matchday 5 against FC Dallas. With the rain pouring down in Chicago, both sides managed just a single shot on target, both in the second half. Gabriel Slonina has now recorded 4 clean sheets out of his first 5 MLS matches and 8 in his first 16 matches with the Fire. A big worry, however, for the home side was the withdrawal of their new star Xherdan Shaqiri after just 19 minutes. Henderson looked to reassure fans after the whistle, suggesting it was more tightness in his calf than a serious injury. On matchday 6, Chicago suffered their first loss of the season at the hands of Orlando City at the Exploria Stadium. After the 2 teams shared a 0-0 draw on matchday 2, this encounter was tight in the result, but in truth, Orlando dominated both possession and total shots. A big attributor to the one-sided nature was the sending off of Brian Gutierrez in the 43rd minute. Gutierrez brought down Cesar Araujo for his second yellow card to bring his team down to 10 men. Erkan Kara was the match winner for Orlando, as a Facundo Torres free kick was headed across goal by Alexandre Pato for Kara to apply an open goal header. This was the only goal of the game in a 1-0 loss for the Fire. Chicago Fire picked up their fourth 0-0 stalemate in their first 7 games, as Gabriel Slonina and his defence walked away with a clean sheet. From an attacking perspective, it was now 3 MLS games in a row that Chicago had failed to score. LA Galaxy did see Chicharito and Douglas Costa find the Chicago net, only to find both ruled out for offside decisions. The US Open Cup exit to lower division Union Omaha did not leave Ezra Henderson in a good mood. In a blunt and frank interview, he exclaimed, "Frankly, I'm pissed off. Because the team we're trying to build here, and it doesn't matter who is on the pitch, I don't think tonight we displayed Chicago Fire soccer. 2 Rafael Chichos penalties, one in normal time and the other in extra time, were cancelled out by No Meza and Alex Touche for Omaha. After 120 minutes, the match went to penalties, with Spencer Ritchie saving one in the shootout. Misses from Kakpa Zabilko and Miguel Angel Navarro were enough to see Chicago Fire eliminated." Another blank in front of goal in another MLS game followed for Chicago, with a heavy 3-0 defeat to a Minnesota United side who were riding high for a win against Colorado the week before. The Fire had managed to hold Minnesota up to the 70th minute without the home side mustering a single shot on target, but a mistake from Wyatt Omsberg with a sloppy interception allowed Minnesota to find space for Emmanuel Reynoso to give them the lead. A Federico Navarro red card for his second yellow card then opened the gates for Kevin Arriaga and Robin Lodd to run away with the victory. In a disappointing month, Chicago had seen themselves drop to 9th place with just 10 points on the board. But in a very tight Eastern Conference, a few wins were seeing teams jump and drop places quite dramatically. In the Western Conference, LAFC and Austin had set the pace in both the Western Conference and the Supporters' Shield, with San Jose and Vancouver still rocking up that division. Winger Chris Mueller was heading back to the MLS as Chicago Fire signed him from Scottish Premiership side Hibernian. Mueller had spent 4 seasons prior to his move to Scotland with Orlando City, where he racked up 126 appearances and 22 goals. At 25 years old, he has been capped twice by the US national team, scoring a brace in his US debut against El Salvador. The deal will see Mueller in Chicago until 2025, with Orlando receiving general allocation money for both 22 and 23, while also securing Chicago's first round selection in the 2023 Super Draft. A packed month of May saw 6 matches for Chicago Fire in the MLS, 4 of which being away and 2 at home, which also included a doubleheader against New York Red Bulls. A second loss in 2 games was handed to Chicago by New York Red Bulls, ensuring Chicago Fire would be winless in April. An Ashley Fletcher handball had allowed Xherdan Shaqiri to fire home the resulting penalty on 17 minutes to give Chicago the ideal start. An 18-minute weather delay then followed on a soaking wet pitch, and it was to get much worse for Chicago when they re-emerged. Gabriel Slonina made an uncustomary error, giving the ball to Luquinhas to find Patrick Klimala for the equaliser. A double sending off then imploded things for the Fire, with first John Duran receiving his marching orders, before 3 minutes later Rafael Chichos getting the same treatment, both for 2 yellow cards. To make matters worse, a late penalty from Klimala sealed their defeat in a miserable wet encounter at Soldier Field for Chicago. A Ronaldo Cisneros first half hat-trick continued Chicago Fire's miserable run. It took just 2 minutes for Cisneros to finish a fine one-touch move against the underside of the bar for his first, before Chinonso Rafor levelled the match after 11 minutes from close range. By 36 minutes, the new signing for Atlanta had 3 goals and given them a cushioned lead. His second was a close rebound of a Mateus Rossetto shot, before Thiago Almada cut Chicago open with a through ball which Cisneros collected and calmly dribbled past Gabriel Slonina before slotting into the awaiting net. The icing on the cake for Atlanta was applied by Brooks Lennon in stoppage time with a steered strike into the top corner for 4-1. The performance and goals from Ronaldo Cisneros earned him Player of the Week award. Chicago now needed to turn a corner in the results column, and fast. Defeat to Cincinnati at Soldier Field was a 4th in a row for Chicago, as Gabriel Slonina provided Luciano Acosta with a gift to strike late to give the visitors a 2-1 victory. Centre-back Rafael Chichos had turned the ball into his own net in the first half to put Chicago behind, but things looked much brighter with 7 minutes to go. A John Duran flick header saw the 18-year-old draw Chicago level, with his first ever goal for the club. Joy turned to despair, however, when Slonina slipped on the ball, passing straight to Acosta, who settled himself, brought a half-yard away from the defence and fired back inside the near post for the victory. After a 2-1 defeat to the Red Bulls on matchday 9, Chicago left New York with a point on matchday 12. Will be disappointed in the end that it wasn't all 3. Entertainment was certainly on show with a 3-3 draw, which included the first goal in his 3rd appearance for Chris Mueller, after a Lewis Morgan penalty had given New York Red Bulls the lead. A Wyatt Omsberg header in the second half was cancelled out 10 minutes later when Cameron Harper pounced on a Gabriel Slonina spilled strike. Chicago then thought they had it won when Xherdan Shaqiri placed a finish from just inside of the area into the Red Bulls net with just a minute to go. But Patrick Klimala had other ideas. As a minute into stoppage time, he tapped in from close range as the Chicago defence watched on and was static. A single penalty allowed New York City to inflict defeat on Chicago Fire and rise to the top of the Eastern Conference on matchday 13. It took a video review, but referee Fotis Bazakos awarded the spot kick for an adjudged handball by Miguel Angel Navarro. Haber duly converted the penalty on 23 minutes to give NYC a 1-0 victory, which leaves Chicago 9 games without a win. May ended with yet another defeat for the Fire, this time at the hands of Toronto. Travelling to Canada, Chicago were beaten 3-2 in another away loss. DeAndre Kerr opened the scoring for Toronto, but Chicago turned the game on its head in the second half. Carlos Terán and Kacper Zavilko scored for the Fire early in the second half, as Chicago emerged from the halftime break on the attack. A questionable penalty then allowed Toronto level through Alejandro Pozuelo before the same player then hit a tremendous strike in the 78th minute to win the match for his team. At the end of May, Chicago's horrible run had seen them slip right to the bottom of the Eastern Conference as well as the Supporters' Shield. With 11 points and only 2 victories, it was the worst record out of anybody else in the MLS. At the top of the table, New York City had risen to the top, with Philadelphia, New York Red Bulls and CF Montreal filling out the top positions. In the Western Conference, Los Angeles FC and FC Dallas still maintained the way, with Real Salt Lake, Austin FC, LA Galaxy and Nashville close behind. At the end of May, Chicago are positioned 14th and last in the Eastern Conference with 11 points, and they also are bottom in the Supporters' Shield. In all competitions, they have a goals per game ratio of 1 score per game and 1.47 conceded. In the 7 home games played by Chicago so far, they have won only 1, drawn 4 and lost 2, scoring a total of 7 goals at a rate of 1 goal per game. Atlanta have also conceded 7 goals at the same rate, as Chicago struggle at home. In the 8 away games played by Chicago so far, they have won 1, drawn 2 and lost 5, scoring a total of 8 goals, again at a rate of a goal per game. But Chicago have also conceded 15 goals at a rate of 1.88 goals per game, as Chicago continue to search for wins. New boys Kacper Zabilko and Xherdan Shaqiri share the top goal scoring spot with 3, while the remaining goals have been spread amongst the squad. Scoring has been a real problem for Chicago so far, which they hope will improve. Brian Gutierrez leads the way with assists, but only by 1 from the chasing pack of John Duran, Gaston Jimenez and Xherdan Shaqiri. These numbers, however, are low in comparison with other MLS teams. In matches played so far for Chicago, it's not really great wherever you look. In the Eastern Conference is where they've played most of their games, with their only win coming against DC United in March. Losses and a few draws against reasonable teams is not enough to have put Chicago off the bottom of the conference. In the western side, they've only actually lost 1 game to Minnesota United, with 2 decent draws against Dallas and LA Galaxy, but again the only win is against bottom side Sporting Kansas. For the first 15 games of the MLS season, Ezra Henderson has opted exclusively to use a traditional 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 formation, with Henderson using a total of 27 players from his squad to date. Chicago Fire have a weaker pass completion percentage in the league at 77.1%, which places them 23rd overall in comparison to all MLS teams. Chicago have also struggled to score, and they rank 26th for shots on target at just 28.1%, coming from 178 shots in total. They've scored just 13 times from a total of 50 attempts on target all season. Defensively, despite a strong start, where Gabriel Slonina actually had the best save percentage at the end of March, he now sits 24th with 58.3%. Young American goalkeeper Gabriel Slonina burst into the first team towards the back end of last season, displacing Bobby Shuttleworth as Chicago's number 1, with Shuttleworth moving to Atlanta United in the off-season. Slonina started the season with 3 clean sheets out of the first 4 matches, but Chicago's defensive record has worsened since. His 5 clean sheets is still a strong total, but his first month 90% save percentage has dropped rapidly to 58.3%. With rumours of a transfer move to Real Madrid, Slonina will be hoping to see his defensive line tighten up in front of him. The goalkeeper is certainly still catching the eye though, including last season that now makes it 9 clean sheets in 24 games for the 18-year-old. In fact, Slanina was ranked 46th in the latest NXGN 2022 list produced by Goal.com for players born on or after the 1st of January 2003. The full list can be found available at the Goal.com website. A settled defence has been regularly selected at the start of the season. Boris Sekulic at right back and Miguel Angel Navarro at left back have been selected more often than not. Both defenders are yet to record any direct goals or assists, as Chicago's defensive record has worsened to see them bottom in their conference. Navarro has also not been shy to pick up a booking, with a total of 5 in his 12 appearances so far. John Espinosa has stepped into right back on multiple occasions, and his 4 yellow cards represent a booking every 0.97 games. At left back, Andre Reynolds has started a single game, which was the US Open Cup defeat to Union Omaha, whilst Jonathan Bornstein has also stepped into the position for the game against Cincinnati on matchday 11. New signing Rafael Chichos has settled in alongside Wyatt Ornsberg in the centre of defence, although a foot injury and a stop-start run in the team has not helped him in the early running. His 2 goals were both scored against Union Omaha in the Cup, and Ornsberg has played most often, with Carlos Terran providing the most backup at centre-back since his recovery from an early season hamstring injury. Mauricio Pineda and Gaston Jimenez are the 2 paired in centre midfield consistently at the start of the season. Both have contributed on the assist front as well as holding the midfield for the attacking players. Federico Navarro and Brian Gutierrez have been used as options from the substitute bench, with Navarro also making 9 starts, and he actually has more game time minutes than Pineda. Gutierrez has been responsible for 2 assists, one against Sporting Kansas and the other away against New York Red Bulls. Sergio Origel and Javier Casas have made limited appearances to date, with Alan Rodriguez also playing exclusively in the MLS Next Pro. Admittedly, high-profile signing Xherdan Shaqiri has been playing in more of an attacking midfield position to date. However, his contribution is certainly focused on his attacking play, finally breaking his goal duck on matchday 4. But since, with penalties and supporting assists, the Swiss forward has directly contributed to 5 goals. Bulgarian Stanislav Ivanov has been the selection on the right-hand side of the attack, scoring against DC United, while Fabian Erbers has lined up on the left-hand side, with their new transfer Kacper Zabilko selected as the centre forward. The Polish striker getting a brace on matchday 4 to get his Chicago goal tally off the ground. John Duran has already picked up 3 bookings and a sending off in a total of 366 minutes for the youngster. 73.3% of all goals scored are coming from open play scenarios, with 11 out of 15, with the last 3 goals scored in all competitions from live situations. Chicago are slightly below the league average at 74.2%, and they've scored 4 of their goals from set-piece situations. Looking at goals conceded, 27.3% have come from set-piece situations, with 6 of 22, which is higher than the league average by 2%. It is also worth noting that 4 of those set-piece conceded were from penalty kicks. It's a clean sweep for Chicago in terms of goals scored and conceded from inside the box, as all 15 for and 22 against have come inside 18 yards. This is of course up on the average of all MLS teams, as 9.4% of all goals on average have been scored outside of the box. Chicago's goals scored have been pretty well spread over the 90 minutes so far, with more goals coming in the second half than the first. However, Chicago have conceded 7 goals in the last 15 minutes of games, struggling to contain teams as they reach the end of matches. Of the 6 goals scored by set pieces, 4 were penalties, with a 100% record from the spot. Xherdan Shaqiri and Rafael Chichos have both scored 2 apiece. Chicago have also benefited from 2 goals from corners, which represent 13.3% of all goals scored. Their percentage of penalties scored to total goals, when compared to the average of all teams, is much higher, by 15%. Chicago have a preference for goals from controlled passes over crossing positions, but not by much. But from a defensive position, they've actually conceded much less crosses than the average by 14%, considering that this is the most common form of goals by all MLS teams. However, Chicago have caused a lot of their own downfall when they have conceded, with 22.7% of goals against attributed to own goals or errors. For more details on how we classify own goals, errors and individual goals, please refer to our website in the description. Most goals scored have been positioned front and centre in the bottom portion of the net, with an overall preference for scoring in the bottom half of the goal. Slanina is most likely beaten down to his left, or strongest in his top right hand corner. It's been a struggle so far for Chicago fans, who have got to hope that the second half of the season poses more promise than the first. They actually started very well in the first month, with a very good defensive record and just struggling to put away the goals. but it's continued on into April and May with defeat after defeat and draws where they need to have wins. So Chicago will be hoping that the second half of the season could ride them up the table and they can get off that bottom spot. That's all for today. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video, as these season reviews are something new I've been working on for quite some time, and I hope you found informative and interesting. If you enjoyed, please support the channel with a like, subscribe and hit that notification button, as we have more in-depth season reviews to come. Also available are other stat and season reviews for the MLS, and also our satirical Football Manager season on FM22, currently with Swansea City. I want to give credit to the guys over at sortitoutsI.com who produced the kit graphics we use today. They're developed for Football Manager, and of course we are using last season's shirt as the ones available, but do check them out for their extensive work. Again, thank you for enjoying the video, and I hope to see you soon.